Welcome to the CondoVultures.com podcast with your host, Peter Zalewski, a Miami real estate broker, Wall Street consultant, and expert witness. This podcast is focused on identifying real estate buying opportunities in the South Florida condo market of Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. The CondoVultures.com podcast is not authorized by the South Florida real estate industry and will most likely annoy many of the region's talking heads. This podcast will feature straight talk and salty language that could be offensive to some. Please remember that past investment success does not determine future gains, especially in South Florida's volatile condo market. For more information, please visit CondoVultures.com.
Welcome to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski. For this particular podcast, which is our condo market report, which is what we do every week, we're going to be focusing on Palm Beach County. Palm Beach County is a northern county of the Tri-County, South Florida area. To the south is Miami-Dade County, for those of you who aren't familiar. In Miami-Dade County, you're going to have Miami Beach, you're going to have Created Out the Land, you'll have Coral Gables, Aventura. In the center, you'll have Broward County. That's where Fort Lauderdale is, Hollywood, Hallandale, as well as places like Pompano Beach. And then finally, in the northern county, Palm Beach County, you're going to have Boca Raton, you'll have West Palm Beach, you'll have Palm Beach Gardens. You also have Jupiter and the famous Mar-a-Lago, where the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, has his place. So for this particular podcast, we will get into 4 segments of Palm Beach County market. We're going to look at condos. We will then look at luxury condos. Followed by that, we're going to look at the distressed market, which is comprised of short sales as well as REOs. And then finally, we'll take a look at the rental market. Couple of rules of engagement to keep in mind before we sort of get started. All of the data we're going to be taking a look at, it's coming out of the multiple listing service. The multiple listing service is a database for those people who have a real estate license. They join a club. It's called the Realtor Association. Therefore, they get to use this multiple listing service or this database to be able to offer properties that are available for sale, as well as find properties that are for sale. The only requirement is, besides having a license, being a member of the association, i.e. a club, a commission has to be offered. So some sort of compensation has to be offered out there in the marketplace for those using the MLS. For those of you who use Zillow and some of these other databases that are online, many of those properties that are in Zillow are also going to primarily come from the multiple listing service. It's a great, easy way to kind of get your hands on real estate numbers pretty quickly, but it is by no means all of the data or all properties that are available either for sale or for rent. What would be an example of a property that's not in the multiple listing service, but is for sale? It's something like for sale by owner. They call it FSBO in the industry. So that would not be in the multiple listing service. So while the MLS is going to represent quite a bit of the properties for sale, it doesn't represent all of it. And then on the rental side, the rental market statistics that come out of the MLS, it's primarily going to exclude those properties where you have 300 or 400 units. There's a big sign on the side that says for rent. There's a guys in front flipping a sign trying to get you to come in for a free rent for a month. Those are primarily going to be corporate owned. Because they're corporate owned, they primarily do not want to pay a real estate commission, which again is a requirement to list a property in the MLS or the realtor's database. And therefore, many of those rentals that went up in the last 5 to 7 years, they're not including the MLS. But so those are important rules to keep in mind. January through September, MLS data. The other part to sort of keep in mind is that we're going to sort of get into the details about what's really going on. We'll sort of give you some rules of thumb to help you figure out what is the state of a particular segment of a market. We'll give you those guidelines. If you have any questions for us, or if you want to submit a comment, please send all emails to inquiry@condovultures.com, inquiry@condovultures.com. That's INQUIRY@condovultures.com. And then finally, if you are listening to this podcast, but you would prefer to watch it, because I am going to include charts with this particular podcast as part of the video, we're now offering video capabilities through any platform that provides video casts, such as Spotify. And we are also going to be uploading all of our video podcasts up to YouTube. If you're somebody who's listening on Apple Podcasts or any traditional type of podcast platform, nothing to worry about. You're getting the same discussion. I will include the links in the description of the particular podcast. But if you do want to watch it, make sure you check out those platforms that provide video capabilities such as Spotify, and or simply go to YouTube. So we'll take a commercial break. Other side of the break, we're going to get into the condo market in Palm Beach County.
It's a simple formula, and it works. Buy low, sell high. We're Condo Vultures, and when it comes to your real estate, we help you buy low. At Condo Vultures, we represent the buyer, and now's the time to buy. Log on to condovultures.com for more information. Condovultures.com. And remember, before you sell high, you have to buy low. Featured in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, 60 Minutes, and Time Magazine. Condo Vultures Realty, a licensed Florida real estate brokerage capitalizing on the condo correction since 2006.
Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski. I have a company called Condo Vultures, which provides consulting services as well as brokerage services. So for this particular segment, we're going to get into the condo market in Palm Beach County. This would be any and all condos that have been or are listed on the multiple listing service, which again is a database that those people with real estate licenses who join a club called the Realtor Association are able to participate in marketing property and or finding property. It's also the source of a lot of the properties you'll see in some competitive databases, if you will, such as Zillow. So what do we got going on in Palm Beach County condo-wise? Just under 2,700 condos on the market, 2,700 condos. The average asking price per unit is coming in at $824,100. $824,100 is the average price per door. At a price per square foot basis, $457 a foot, $457 a foot. And then finally, days on market. Those condos that are for sale, they've been on the market for about 80 days. Keep in mind, I'm recording this podcast, their video podcast in January. The data is coming as of the end of December, but it represents what's going on in the first 9 months of the year. Now, pending sales, just about 535 condos in Palm Beach County are pending, deemed pending, which means they're on the contract. The average asking price for these pending sales is about $1.2 million per door, $1.2 million per door. And the price per square foot on the pending is $526 a foot, $526 a foot. And those pending sales, they've been on the market and under contract a grand total of 59 days, 59 days. And then finally closed sales in the first 9 months of 2022 in Palm Beach County. You had just over 8,900 condos trade. They trade an average price of $441,000 per door, $441 per door. And the average sales price, $302 a foot, $302 per square foot. And finally, days on market, 27 days on the market. Now, what's interesting when you take a look at the statistics, what it really shows you is that the sellers are asking a ton and they're willing to wait a long time versus the buyers. They're getting a better price, and when properties are appropriately priced, they're actually doing the deal. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look at price per door. Average price per asking price per door for a condo in Palm Beach County. Remember I mentioned $824,100, but the units that traded first 9 months of the year, they traded for $441,000. That's about an 87% difference. Now, generally speaking, when we're tracking these statistics for a marketplace, you don't tend to see a lot of activity until there's about a 20% difference between the asking price and the average transaction price. And then typically once that price is reduced even more, say 8 to 50%, or, ballpark, call it 10%, then you tend to get a deal done. So when I'm looking at 87% spread between what a seller is asking versus what the average transaction price is in general. Now, each building's going to be different. Each condo is going to be different, but just general, trends that are going on, it really looks like the sellers are out of their minds in terms of what they want versus what the buyers have been paying, at least the first 9 months of the year. Now, on a price per square foot basis, $457 a foot is the ask, if you remember I said, but $302 is what the unit's traded for. This is about 51% difference, 51% difference. And again, 20% difference is typically when there's activity. In 8 to 12%, 8 to 15% is typically when the deal gets done. So you can see on a price per square foot basis, the sellers are also asking a lot, and therefore the unit's probably going to sit on the market, which takes us to the days on the market. Those condos for sale in Palm Beach County right now, they've been there 80 days. In counting, the units that traded, 27 days. So that suggests that sellers are going to have to learn to be patient and or cut their price, because those units that are appropriately priced, they're going to trade. And then that's what the statistics are showing. Now, let's get into how many units traded per month in Palm Beach County first 9 months of the year. 991 units per month was the transaction pace. If I divide that what's currently in the market, which is just under 2,700 units, I come up with 2.7 months of supply, Keep in mind, equilibrium is 6 months of supply. Anything less than 6 months means the seller has the advantage because there's nothing to choose from. Anything more than 6 months means the buyer has the advantage. So these statistics suggest that Palm Beach County condo market is a seller's market. However, what I will tell you is that price differential between what's being asked versus what properties trade for suggests that we're going to need some sort of cleaning up to do here. The only thing I know about real estate in South Florida is it goes up until it doesn't, and it goes down until it doesn't. So despite the fact that the statistics might look solid, it doesn't necessarily mean that's 100% go. And you're looking to buy a condo, now's the time to pull the trigger. I'd actually suggest to you, it might be more important to pay attention to what's going on with interest rates as the Federal Reserve continues to jack up interest rates, try to get inflation under control. And ultimately, it's going to have an effect on the economy in terms of jobs and inflation. So is it a good time to buy? I'm not really sure. But what I do see in the statistics is that there's not a lot of properties for sale, condos for sale in Palm Beach County, but the price differences are out of control versus what the average transaction price is. So take it for what it's worth. We'll take a commercial break. Other side break, we're going to get into the luxury condo market in Palm Beach County.
This is Peter Zalewski of the Condo Vultures podcast. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. And I wanted to alert you that if you have a property that you're looking to sell in the Tri-County, South Florida area, I would encourage you to reach out to Jenny Cortez, a licensed real estate broker with cvrrealty.com. She's my partner. She's been in the business for north of 15 years. More importantly, she knows the market. She knows how to get a deal done. And she also realizes that it's more important to get a price that you can accept and sell the property rather than to hold firm on some price that's never going to be achieved and ultimately languish on the market. So if you're looking to do a deal that you want a skilled expert who can help you sell a property, reach out to Jenny Cortez at 305-865-5859, 305-865-5859, or visit her website, cvrrealty.com.
Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski of Condo Vultures. We're going to talk about the luxury condo market in Palm Beach County for this particular segment of our video podcast. And what is luxury? That's probably the best place to start. People in real estate are basically paid to sell properties. They basically eat what they kill, if you know what I mean. So their real play is marketing. So as a result, many things are deemed luxurious or luxury or ultra luxury or super ultra luxury. So we try to cut through all the bullshit and make it real simple. We effectively say if there were 7 digits in the asking price, 7 digits or more, 7 figures or more, 7 numbers or more, it is luxurious. Anything with 6 digits or 6 figures is not luxurious. So for instance, $1 million from our perspective is luxurious. However, $999,999 is not luxurious. And why do we do it? Because no one really knows what luxurious is down here, and everyone in the real estate industry tends to call their property the most luxurious. So $1 million or more, we call luxurious. Under $1 million, it's not luxurious. So the data we're going to take a look at for this particular segment is luxurious condos in Palm Beach County. And again, $1 million or more. So what do we got on the market? 433 condos are currently on the market for sale in Palm Beach County that are luxurious. Average asking price, just under $3.3 million per unit, $3.3 million per unit. And that's going to work out to an average asking price of $1,255 a square foot, $1,255 per square foot. In those condos that are on the market, they've been there 104 days. Now, the pending, these are the properties that were listed for sale and now they're under contract or waiting to close. 168 are pending. 168 luxury condo units are pending. Average asking price of those pending sales, $3.2 million, which is slightly less than the average asking price of those condos today. And the average price per square foot, $1,180 a foot. $1,180 a foot is the average pending price when the property went on pending. And then finally, days on market. Those luxury condos, they've been sitting on the market and under contract for 71 days and counting. And then finally, those luxury condos that traded first 9 months of the year, 693. So call it 700 luxury condos traded first 9 months of the year, traded an average price of $2.3 million. Remember, average ask is $3.3 million. Average transaction price, $2.3 million. And average price per square foot, $973 a foot. And those units traded average of 45 days. So let's get into the statistics to give you an idea of what is the state of the Palm Beach County market. Right now, there's about a 43% difference between what the average asking price is for a luxury condo in Palm Beach County versus the average transaction price. And again, 20% difference is when investors and buyers and sellers start to maybe have some activity. In 8 to 15% is typically when you get a deal done. So I'm looking at 43% difference in the average asking price for luxury condos. So that suggests pricing is too high. Now, price per square foot, $1,255 a foot is the average asking price, as mentioned. Average transaction price is $973 a foot. That's about a 29% spread, 29% spread per square foot. Again, 20%, it gets interesting. So looks at the price per square foot basis is getting closer and getting squeezed, even though the price per door basis is much more out of whack. And then finally, days on the market. Well, those condos, luxury condos that are on the market today in Palm Beach County, I told you 104 days versus the average one to trade in the first 9 months of the year took only 45 days. You can see there that inappropriately priced condos are going to sit on the market much longer than those that are appropriately priced. Now, in terms of city of luxury condo sales in Palm Beach County, we had 77 luxury condos trade per month in the first 9 months of this year, 77. If I divide that what's currently on the market, which is 433 condos, I'm going to come up with 5.6 months of supply, 5.6 months of supply. Equilibrium, if you recall, is 6 months. So 5.6 months suggests that this is a seller's market, but just lightly. Looks like this luxury condo market is moving into equilibrium, probably more likely than not, going to move into a buyer's advantage. Now, I will tell you, many of the luxury condo brokers, again, luxury is in the eye of the beholder. Many of these luxury condo buyers tend to make the argument that a luxurious condo seller has more money than God, and therefore they don't need to sell unless they want to sell, and they can ride it out and they can hold it out. And therefore you can't lose this rule of thumb of 6 months being equilibrium for luxury condos like you do for regular condos. Some of these luxury brokers will tell you it's 12 months, maybe even 18 months for equilibrium. So if you go by the traditional rule of thumb of 6 months, this is slightly a seller's market. If you go by the rule of thumb of 12 to 18 months, then this would be a hard seller's market for luxury condos in Palm Beach County. We'll go ahead. We'll take a short commercial break. Other side break, we're going to get into the distress market in Palm Beach County.
This is Peter Zalewski of the Condo Vultures podcast. Before I started doing these podcasts, I was in the business of being a licensed real estate broker, a contributing columnist for the Miami Herald, as well as the Miami Real Deal, but also extra witness work and consulting. So if you are looking for an expert witness, or if you're looking for consulting services, a straight talk perspective as to what's going on in a particular marketplace, a building, or what happened previously, for whatever your situation is, whether you are an attorney, whether you are an institutional fund looking to invest, or whether you're a lender who's trying to come up with some sort of strategy and approach for your lending committee going forward, I just might be able to help you. To get a hold of me, please reach out to Peter@condovultures.com. That's Peter@condovultures.com, or give me a call to the office at 305-865-5859, 305-865-5859.
Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski of Condo Vultures. For this particular segment, we're going to take a look at the distress market in Palm Beach County for condominiums. Now, best place to probably start is, what is distress? Distress basically falls under two categories when it comes to buying properties that are going to be listed in the multiple listing service and will be reflected in the statistics we're showing. So these properties are either going to be a short sale or they're going to be a real estate owned, an REO, or a bank owned. It's all one and the same. Now, what is a foreclosure? People will talk about foreclosure. Well, there's several levels to foreclosure. When paperwork is initially signed, it's in theory, it's in default, but it's not necessarily a foreclosure. Once a bank takes title to that property, then it becomes what the bank calls a real estate owned on its books. So it's an REO. So then some people would call that a foreclosure. But this is the way it breaks down. Distress will be a short sale. And a short sale typically means a borrower will obtain money from a lender. That lender is providing financing. And when the borrower decides they want to sell the property will not return what the borrower has effectively got his or her hands on from the lender. And the borrower will go to the lender and say, hey, I want to get rid of the property. I don't want to go through the foreclosure process, which can take 9 to 12 months. And therefore, Mr. or Mrs. Lender, you're willing to write off this loan and accept less or something short of what's ultimately owed in order to avoid a foreclosure. Why? Because a foreclosure, as mentioned, could take 9 to 12 months. Some borrowers who end up losing their property, what they'll do is they'll strip the property clean. They'll try to grab anything and everything in the property that's worth value. So therefore, they can turn around and try to sell to recoup some of the money that they're ultimately going to lose on the property. And once a bank moves forward, it takes title to a property after this 9 to 12 month process. Whatever the condition is, based on what the borrower might have done, the previous borrower might have done, then the bank will turn around, take this property and turn around and sell it as a real estate owned or an REO or a bank owned property to investors who typically are going to be asked to pay a competitive price. Why? Because a lot of investors like REOs or real estate owned, because they tend to underprice or undercut what the traditional marketplace is for a particular condo in a building and or a neighborhood. So what do we have going on in the distressed market in Palm Beach County? Well, we have about 20 properties that are currently in the market. This is going to be short sales and REOs combined. And 13 are pending. 13 condo sales are pending. And in the first 9 months of the year, we had 62 transactions. So if I take the 62 transactions that occurred in the first 9 months of the year, I divide it by 9, I'm going to come up with just under 7 transactions, distressed transactions each and every month this year. And if I take that 7 transactions per month, I divide it what's currently in the market, which is 20. I'm going to come up with about 2.9 months of supply, or roughly 3 months of supply. So it is a seller's market from a distressed perspective. But let's get into the real details of distress. So we're going to start off with the short sale. Again, short sale is a situation where an owner obtains a loan or a mortgage. That seller then in the future wants to unload the property, but the property is worth less and will sell for less than what the loan is for. And therefore the seller or borrower will ask the bank to accept something that's less or short of what's ultimately owned. Now, short sale. How many are currently on the market in Palm Beach County? 2. We only got 2 for sale. Average asking price of these short sales, $404,400 per door. $404,400 per door. And that on a price per square foot basis, that works out to $282 a foot. And they've been on the market at an average of 23 days for the short sales that are currently available. And there's an additional 5 short sales that are pending at an average asking price when they went under contract, $246,500. And that's an average ending price per square foot, $218. And those have been on the market an average of 263 days. And then finally, transactions of short sales, first 9 months of the year, 6. There's been 6 short sales that have traded in Palm Beach County. Average price, $209,335 per door, $209,335. And on a price per square foot basis, $155 a foot. That's a very attractive number, $155 a foot, when the average ask is $282 a foot. So you can see that's a very attractive number. And then finally, days on market. Those short sales that traded in Palm Beach County first 9 months of the year, they traded for in 81 days. So you can see that's relatively quick compared to what we saw in Broward County as well as in Dade County in previous podcasts. Now, let's talk about the difference in terms of the average asking price and the average transaction price. We're looking at about a 93% difference today in terms of what the average seller of a short sale is asking versus what the average transaction price was. 93% difference. Again, $404,400 is the average ask for a short sale in Palm Beach County versus the average transaction price, $209,335. Now, average price per square foot difference, about 82%. Remember, 20% difference is typical when you see activity. 8 to 12, 18, 15% difference in terms of the average asking price and the average transaction price. It's typical when you get a deal done. So we got 82% difference on short sales. And finally, days on market, 23 days on the market is what the typical or the average short sale is today versus those that traded 81 days. Now, how many short sales were trading per month in the first 9 months of the year? Less than one. So if I take that less than 1, I divide it into what's currently on the market today, 2 units, 2 short sales in Palm Beach County. I come up with about 3 months of supply. So the short sale market in Palm Beach County is a seller's market. Now let's talk about the bank-owned market in Palm Beach County. Again, this is real estate owned, this is REO, this is bank-owned, this is foreclosure. Call it what you want. But what it is that a borrower and an owner has lost a property through a foreclosure process for probably most likely non-payment. The bank has taken title, and now the bank needs to somehow recoup the money it's lost through the foreclosure process by selling it to an investor or some individual who's going to move into it. So what do we got going on the REO side in Palm Beach County? 18 properties for sale, 18 condos in Palm Beach County for sale that are REOs. The average asking price, $241,100 per door, $241,100. It works out to an average asking price per foot, $200 a foot. And those REOs been on the market an average of 73 days and counting. Now, what's going on in terms of pending? We got 8 pending REO transactions in Palm Beach County. The average asking price, $167,665 per door, or $174 a foot. And that works out to 70 days on the market that these pending properties have been there. So They were listed for sale. They went under contract and they have not yet closed. And that number is 70 and counting. And then finally, first 9 months of the year, 56 Palm Beach County REOs or bank owned or foreclosures traded 56, traded an average price of $179,540, $179,540, or a price per square foot average of $162 a foot, $162 a foot. And finally, they traded in as little as 32 days, 32 days. Now, what is going on in terms of pricing based on our perspective in terms of looking at the difference between what a seller is seeking versus what a unit trades for and when it gets interesting? Well, you got about a 34% spread between the lenders today who were selling their properties versus what the average was in the first 9 months of the year. And on the price per square foot basis, we got about a 24% spread, 24% spread. So you can see on the price per square foot basis, it's much closer to kind of getting a deal done from these lenders. And what is much closer? 20%. And right now the banks are sitting at 24%. So you can see very quickly, these REOs are probably going to get reduced in price to the point where many of your investors who are circling are probably going to have the ability to come in and pull the trigger. And then finally, average days on market. Those REOs that are on market today in Palm Beach County, they've been there 73 days versus the ones that traded in a little 32 days. Days on market is a great way to sort of track momentum in what's kind of going on in the market. Now, let's talk about how many REO transactions there were in Palm Beach County in the first 9 months of the year. About 6.2 units traded each and every month. Now, if I take that 6.2 units that traded per month, I divide it what's currently in the market, which is 18, I'm going to come up with about 3 months of supply, just about 3 months of supply. So again, equilibrium being 6 months, anything more than 6 months is a buyer's market, anything less is a seller's market. The REO market in Palm Beach County is definitely a seller's market, but keep in mind that lenders have the ability to list the properties when and if they want. And what lender who's trying to get top dollar is going to dump a bunch of properties on the market at one time. If not to, or what would result in it, is simply lowering the prices. Keep in mind, lenders, they've already taken title to these properties. They can list them whenever they want, and they tend to list them in a controlled fashion and manner, therefore not to hurt pricing going forward. So that's an important part of the distress market, not only Palm Beach County, but all of South Florida as well as the United States. So we'll take the commercial break. The other side of the break, we're going to get into the rental market in Palm Beach County.
Don't buy a South Florida condo, discounted or distressed, before taking a Condo Vultures correction tour. CondoVultures.com offers weekly bus and walking tours that focus on educating buyers on the how-tos of identifying discounted condos, analyzing the opportunities, and purchasing units. Every tour attendee receives a list of all condo projects in a particular market, a market assessment handout, and unmatched expert analysis. For more information on the condo correction tours, please visit condovultures.eventbrite.com.
Welcome back to Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski. I have a company called Condo Vultures. Condo Vultures does consulting as well as offers brokerages services related to condos in the Tri-County, South Florida area of Miami-Dade, Palm Beach County. So we're going to talk about the rental market in this particular segment of the podcast. Why? Because, well, many buyers are going to use the property as a primary home and or a second home. Some people might want to rent the property, whether it's intended or unintended. Situations change. And as a result, it's important to know what the rental market is whenever you have a property, especially in South Florida, where rents in the recent last year or two have been much stronger than they've been in quite some time. So what's going on in the rental market? Now, before we get into the rental statistics, let me sort of lay out a couple of things to sort of keep in mind. When you talk about rentals in South Florida, there's going to be a whole variety of rental properties that are all listed in this database, this multiple listing service that the realtors use. So keep in mind, there will be daily rentals, there'll be weekly rentals, there'll be monthly rentals, and there'll be annual rentals. It's very difficult to sort of get a good handle on the market, and unless all the data is made, sliced and diced, put it more in an apples perspective. So as a result of that, we are going to rely on median for this particular segment of the podcast rather than average. So we're going to rely on median. What is median? Median is simply the number that's kind of right in the middle. Because it's right in the middle, it'll give us a good sense of what's going on. But I will tell you, and I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, rental data is extremely sketchy. Now, why is it sketchy? Well, a real estate commission has to be offered in order for a property to be put in the multiple listing service. So that means the landlord or the landlord's going to have to go ahead and sign a listing agreement. Typically down here in South Florida, a real estate broker is going to try to get about 10% commission, gross commission on the gross annual rent. And that 10% will be divvied up into 5% on the landlord side, 5% on the renter or the tenant side. Now, if a group owns a 300 unit project and it's a REIT, a real estate investment trust, or some sort of corporation or family office, whatever, are they really going to want to pay 10% commission on the gross annual rent for each and every one of those properties? Or would that group or that owner of 300 unit plus complexes, wouldn't they rather hire somebody, give them 35, 40, 50 grand, put them in a leasing office, maybe hire a backup and simply have one or two people kind of handle it all, pay it at a set salary or incentive driven salary, rather than paying out all these commissions on 300 units at 10% of the gross annual rent? So what we tend to find is many of the corporate owned rentals, those where there's a big sign on the side saying, for rent, call this 800 number, or those properties where you have people standing outside the properties, flipping a sign, trying to catch your attention. So you pull over, come on in and sign a lease. Those tend to be corporate owned properties. And as a result of being corporate owned, they're probably not going to be in the multiple listing service. So they will reflect what some will call the shadow market, if you will. So keep that in mind. That's what's going on in the rental market. So it's the data we're going to refer to is going to be a sense of what's going on, but it's not going to be all encompassing. And as a result, probably comparable to licking your finger, holding it up and seeing which way the wind blows. So that being said, let's get into the rental market and let's talk about what pricing is like. Right now, there's 2,250 rentals for lease available in Palm Beach County. What are these rentals? These 2,250, they're going to be comprised of apartments, condos, efficiencies, multifamilies, and townhouses. The median price, again, $3,300 a door per month, $3,300 a door per month. And what does that work to on a price per square foot basis? We're looking at 274 square foot per month, 274 square foot per month. And then finally, days on market. Those properties that have been for rent in Palm Beach County, they've been there 45 days. Keep in mind, every month that goes by that a landlord's not able to fill it, therefore cuts into their bottom line. So it behooves a landlord to put a tenant in there sooner rather than later. And holding out for pricing sometimes could be, it could be the disadvantage because the money lost in vacancy versus the premium charge sometimes it doesn't necessarily play out, especially the tenants staying for only for 1 year or so or one lease term. Now, in terms of pending, 1,173 properties are pending. Rentals of properties are pending in Palm Beach County. Median price of those pending units, $2,500 a month, $2,500 a month, or $2.33 a square foot per month, $2.33 square foot per month. And they've been on the market a median number of days of 23. And then first 9 months of the year, what was the activity like for rentals in Palm Beach County? 7,025 properties were rented, 7,025 at a median price of $2,300 per door, $2,300 per door. And it works out to $2.09 a square foot per month, $2.09 a square foot per month. And how many days did it take to rent one of these properties in Palm Beach County first 9 months of the year? Only 16. Today, the median number of days in the market for those available is 45. So you can see it's 3 times as long already that these properties for rent are sitting there. And why is that? Well, probably has to do with pricing. And what's the difference in pricing? Well, $3,300 per unit per month is the median ask, while the median transaction price for a lease was $2,300 a month. And as a result, that's about a 44% difference, So it looks like that the rentals in Palm Beach County are aggressively high. And until they get squeezed out, you're probably going to see the property sitting on the market longer time, unless somehow, some way, these tenants decide to step up and pay more, 44% more than what was paid the first 9 months of the year. Now, on a price per square foot basis, $274 a foot is the price per square foot monthly that's being sought on a median basis right now in Palm Beach County, while the median transaction price was $2.09 a square foot, $2.09 a square foot per month. That's about a 31% spread. So that, again, needs to be taken down in order to get the transactions to flow. And if they don't flow, you're going to see that days on the market number continue to go up. Now, how many properties were rented on average per month in Palm Beach County? Well, if I take the 7,025, basically I divide it by 9, I'm going to come up with 780 rentals per month is what Palm Beach County experienced first 9 months of the year. I take that number of 780, I divide that what's currently available, which is 2,250. If you remember, I come up with 2.9 months of supply, At equilibrium is 6 months. Anything less than 6 months, it is a landlord's market. Anything more is a tenant's market. So this is clearly a landlord's market. However, we are in the first half of the winter buying season. And typically once the weather starts to change up north, where those people who are coming down to South Florida to avoid the snow and the cold and want to kick back with the palm trees and the sand and the ocean, they tend to go north in the spring and the summer. And once they do, you tend to see prices for rentals continue to fall. So I would suggest to you looking at the statistics, even though there's only 2.9 months of supply, this does not necessarily mean it's an extremely strong market for rentals in Palm Beach County. And why is that? Again, because of the difference between the median asking price and the median transaction price. So that's an overview of the Palm Beach County condo market as of the third quarter of 2022. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions for us, please send an email to inquiry@condovultures.com, INQUIRY @condovultures.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to get into the video side, please check us out on YouTube at Condo Vultures TV. That is our handle. Or you can watch this podcast directly on Spotify. Now, if you are watching the podcast, you're going to see the statistics right there in the screen. And if you're not watching it, I'd encourage you to check out the notes underneath or the description of the podcast, where we're going to put in links as to where you can pull up each and every chart. And for some reason, if you want to just look at some of the stats that we're pulling, go to condovulturesrealty.com, condovulturesrealty.com, go to market intelligence, and you're going to see all of the charts that I'm referring to in these podcasts. So until next time, I hope you take care of yourself, and we'll catch up soon. Ciao, ciao.